All right, welcome back to the deep dive, everybody. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into a YouTube video
Ooh, interesting.
all about learning English.
Yeah, okay.
It's called Learn English Quickly with Podcast. Vertical Bar English Learning Conversation.
Okay.
Vertical Bar Episode 1 from the channel English Podcast Zone.
Gotcha.
So we're going to try to break down how this video tries to teach conversational English
Yeah.
and zero in on any techniques they use, any interesting phrases we come across.
Right.
What do you think? Have you ever tried to learn English through videos like this? I mean,
I feel like a lot of people try to learn English these days through, authentic materials like podcasts or videos.
yeah, for sure.
It's definitely, more engaging than just textbooks.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I'd be interested to see how this video does it.
Yeah, so like right off the bat, it kicks off with this little dialogue
Okay.
that plays out a pretty awkward situation. It starts with someone forgetting another person's name.
Oh, the classic.
The classic.
I've totally forgotten your name encounter.
Yeah.
That's happened to all of us, I'm sure.
Right, and it's like instantly relatable, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Like it immediately grabs your attention.
Yeah, I was just thinking that, it makes you think, okay, how would I handle this in English?
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
It's not just about learning vocabulary or grammar in isolation.
Yeah.
It's about seeing how it's used in real life situations, especially those slightly embarrassing ones that we all try to avoid.
Yeah.
Like, oh no.
It's like they're saying, hey, this could be you. Better pay attention.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that approach, actually.
Yeah, I agree.
Makes learning feel more
It's good.
relevant and practical. Yeah.
I agree. And from a learning perspective, there's a lot of value in that.
Yeah.
When we can connect new information to something that we've experienced or can imagine ourselves experience, it sticks with us better.
Yeah, totally.
So that's a good start.
Yeah, it's like a mental shortcut to remembering.
Right.
So after that little, scene setter,
Mm-hmm.
the video jumps into a language takeaway section.
Okay.
And they highlight some phrases from the dialogue,
All right.
like, in a bit of a hurry,
Hmm.
contact details, and
Mhm.
slipped my mind.
Okay, what I find interesting is that they don't just, list those phrases.
Yeah.
They actually break down how each one is used in the dialogue. And they
Right.
give, several examples
Yeah.
and show different contexts.
It's like they're giving you a mini toolkit for how to use these phrases naturally, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like for in a bit of a hurry, they show it being used for someone running late,
Yeah.
someone ending a conversation quickly,
Mhm.
even someone like putting something off till later.
Exactly. It's all about
Yeah.
seeing the phrase in action, understanding its nuances,
Yeah.
and how it can be adapted to different situations. And that's something that you wouldn't necessarily get from just, looking a word up in a dictionary.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
It's one thing to know the definition,
Yeah,
but it's another to actually know how to use it
for sure.
in a real conversation.
And I think that's one of the strengths of this video is they've picked phrases that are not only useful,
Yeah.
but also highly frequent
Yeah.
in everyday conversations.
It's about giving learners the tools they need to handle those, common everyday interactions.
Exactly.
That happen all the time.
Okay, so moving on. The video then goes into a putting it together section.
Okay.
And here they focus on phrases like around here
Mhm.
and terrible with. And this is where it gets really interesting.
Ooh, okay.
They start digging into those subtle differences between similar phrases.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is where we get into those nuances that can really trip up language learners.
Yeah.
They give the example of around the corner versus around there.
Yes. And how around there can be used to refer to like a general area,
Right.
not necessarily a specific location.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's those little distinctions that can make a big difference in how you're understood. And I think that the video does a good job of
Yeah,
highlighting them and providing clear examples.
absolutely.
So that's helpful.
For sure. They also have this amusing anecdote in the fluency builder section
Okay.
where one of the hosts talks about forgetting his uncle's name at a family reunion,
Oh, yeah.
which, let's be honest,
We've all been there.
we've all been there,
Absolutely.
right?
The mind goes blank.
Oh, yeah,
Especially in social situations.
totally.
And it's great that the video acknowledges that
Yeah.
it makes language learning feel less intimidating.
Right. It's like, hey, even native speakers mess up sometimes.
Exactly. We all make mistakes.
Yeah, for sure.
And by addressing those moments of awkwardness, they're actually teaching a valuable lesson.
Yeah.
It's about learning to laugh at yourself. recover from those mistakes, and keep going.
So true.
It's all part of the process.
And then they offer some tips for remembering names, like asking for business cards
Okay.
or having someone write down their email.
Right. Practical strategies for dealing with real-life situations.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I think that's something learners really appreciate.
Definitely.
So far, what are your impressions of this video? Do you think it's an effective way to learn conversational English?
I'm really liking the approach they're taking.
Yeah.
It's engaging, it's practical,
Mm-hmm.
and they're not shying away from those awkward moments that we all experience.
For sure. For sure.
What do you think, listener?
What do you think, listener?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you finding this deep dive helpful so far?
Yeah, hopefully we're giving you some good insights here.
Yeah.
And we're back with the deep dive. Before the break, we were talking about how this video uses relatable scenarios and practical phrases to teach English. Now they introduce this technique called shadowing. I'm really curious about this.
Oh, yeah. It's a pretty popular technique, especially for pronunciation practice.
Okay.
Have you ever tried it?
I've heard of it, but haven't really tried it myself.
Okay, so the video explains it as basically becoming an echo of a native speaker.
Mm-hmm.
You listen very closely to their pronunciation, their rhythm, the way they stress words, and you try to imitate it all as accurately as possible.
So it's like mimicking their speech patterns.
Exactly, and they even suggest recording yourself while you're shadowing so you can compare your pronunciation to the original speaker.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's like having an instant feedback loop.
Right?
You can really hear those subtle differences that you might not pick up on otherwise.
Exactly. It helps you become more aware of your own pronunciation habits.
Right.
And identify areas where you might need to adjust.
Like having a personal pronunciation coach right there in your ear.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's good.
And they emphasize the importance of starting small. Begin with short phrases, then gradually work your way up to longer sentences and even entire dialogues.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
It's like building muscle memory, right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't start weightlifting with the heaviest weights.
Exactly. Exactly. You want to build up your skills gradually, and the same applies to language learning.
For sure.
So what are some of the benefits of this shadowing technique?
Yeah. What do you get out of it?
Well, the video mentions several. It can improve your pronunciation, of course.
Yeah.
But it also helps with listening comprehension
Okay.
because you're training your ear to pick up on those subtle sounds and rhythms.
Gotcha.
And as you get better at mimicking native speakers, it can even help you speak more fluently and naturally.
So it's like a multi-purpose tool for language learning.
It really is. And it's a technique you can practice anywhere, anytime.
Right.
You just need some audio or video material with a clear native speaker.
Yeah. That looks like.
It's pretty accessible.
Okay, so after shadowing, the video moves on to something called an English Pod audio review. Any idea what that might be?
It sounds like a quick review of the key vocabulary and phrases they covered earlier in the dialogue.
Right.
Right.
Maybe. Let's see.
Let's see, yes. They're going through each word and phrase, giving its meaning, and then an example sentence.
Okay.
It's like a rapid-fire vocab drill.
Oh, okay. It's a clever way to reinforce what they've just taught.
Yeah.
It helps those words and phrases stick in your memory.
I was going to say, that's probably the point of that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And they're not just focusing on single words either. They're including those multi-word phrases too, like around here, in a bit of a hurry, contact details, things like that.
That's important because it helps learners understand how words work together to create meaning. It's not just about memorizing isolated words.
Right.
It's about seeing how they function in real phrases and sentences.
Yeah. And again, they're using those practical everyday examples. It really drives home the point that these phrases are useful for real-life conversations. Yeah, I'm noticing a pattern here.
Yeah.
They seem to be really emphasizing practical application throughout this video.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is good.
You're right. Yeah, it's not just about theoretical knowledge.
Yeah.
They want learners to be able to use what they're learning in the real world.
Exactly. And that's what makes it so effective.
Yeah.
When you can see the immediate relevance of what you're learning, it becomes more motivating and engaging.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Towards the end of the video, they wrap things up with some encouragement for the viewers
Okay.
and remind them about their website, englishpod.com, where they have more resources.
Right.
So,
It's great that they're providing additional support for learners who want to go deeper.
Yeah.
It shows a real commitment to helping people improve their English skills.
Absolutely.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive.
Yeah.
What are your overall thoughts on this video as a tool for learning conversational English?
I think it's a really well-structured and engaging approach.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
They've combined relatable scenarios, practical phrases, and effective techniques like shadowing to create a comprehensive learning experience.
absolutely. And I think,
What do you think, listener?
what do you think, listener? Are you feeling inspired to try some of these techniques yourself? I know I am.
Yeah.
I especially like the idea of using shadowing to improve my pronunciation.
Yeah, it's definitely worth trying.
Yeah.
And remember, the key is to find what works best for you and make it a regular part of your learning routine.
Great advice, yeah.
So keep practicing.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been analyzing this YouTube video on learning conversational English, and I'm really impressed with how much they pack into a short time.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can accomplish with a well-structured approach and clear teaching goals, isn't it?
Absolutely. And one thing that's been resonating with me throughout this whole deep dive is how they've emphasized the practical application of language.
Yes, it's not just about memorizing words and grammar rules.
Right.
It's about giving learners the tools to actually use English in real-life situations.
Like those phrases they highlighted in a bit of a hurry,
Right.
contact details, slip my mind.
Mm-hmm.
All so useful for everyday conversations.
And the way they presented them through those relatable scenarios and multiple examples
Yeah.
really helped make them stick in your mind.
I agree. I feel like I could actually use those phrases now with confidence.
Exactly.
And they didn't shy away from those awkward moments that we all face as language learners either.
Right.
Like forgetting someone's name.
Because, let's be honest, those moments are inevitable.
Yeah.
It's how we recover from them that matters.
And they even provided some practical tips for dealing with those situations, like asking for a business card or having someone write down their email.
Yeah.
It's like they're saying, hey, it's okay to mess up. Here's how to handle it gracefully.
Yeah. Exactly. And that can be so reassuring for learners who might be feeling self-conscious or afraid of making mistakes.
Absolutely. Speaking of techniques,
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this shadowing method they talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard of it before,
Yeah.
but they explained it so clearly.
It's a fantastic way to improve your pronunciation and fluency.
Right.
It's like you're absorbing the rhythms and intonation of a native speaker.
I love that they suggested recording yourself while shadowing so you can compare and identify areas for improvement.
Right.
It's like having a personal pronunciation coach.
It's a great way to become more aware of your own speech patterns and make those subtle adjustments that can really make a difference.
So overall, I think this video is a great example of how to make language learning engaging, practical, and even fun.
I couldn't agree more. And they managed to pack so much valuable information into such a short amount of time.
That's what makes it so effective. It's not overwhelming for learners.
Right.
It's concise,
Yes.
focused, and actionable.
And they didn't just focus on the technical aspects of language either.
Right.
They also addressed the emotional side of learning, emphasizing the importance of humor and not being afraid to make mistakes.
Such a crucial point, because when we're relaxed and enjoying the process, we're more likely to stick with it and make progress.
Absolutely. It's all about finding that balance between focused effort and a sense of playfulness.
Well said. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one key takeaway you would like to leave our listeners with?
I think the most important message is to find what works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be afraid to experiment with different techniques, resources, and approaches.
Okay.
And remember, language learning is a journey, not a destination.
Right.
Enjoy the process.
Fantastic advice. So to all of you out there, keep exploring,
Yes.
keep practicing, and most importantly, keep having fun with language.
And never underestimate the power of laughter to enhance your learning experience.
This is The Deep Dive, signing off until next time.
Yeah.